welcome back to the Murdy Creative Co podcast. I'm your host, Colin Murdy, and today's topic is the planning process. But first, I want to say thank you to everyone who's supported the company so far. If you haven't got a chance, go check us out on the web at murdycreative.co. That's M-U-R-D-Y, creative.co. Or you can check us out on Facebook and Instagram by searching at murdycreative.co to see the best of our product shots. Follow us, keep up to date with our daily photos, be the first one to know about new product launches. You can also use the subscribe button at the bottom of our website to be included in all of our new product announcements. Be sure to check out our laser engraving, personalization options, and exclusive colors on the website, or you can blank one on Amazon Prime. All right, so yesterday, actually technically Tuesday, was the next of our Dale Carnegie sessions that I had done, and as the facilitator would say, it was a barn burner. It was very good. I really enjoyed it, and there was a lot of important things in that particular session that for me personally are areas of weakness, so I actually had a lot of great things to take away from that. One of the things that I really wanted to focus on in this episode, and what we focused on a lot yesterday, was the planning process. And as many of you who've been fans of the show for a little while know, planning is not really my strong suit. I do a lot of ready, fire, aim, and I'm pretty flexible, but in this particular instance, I'm realizing that we are a large enough organization now that if I don't plan, we're just going to crash into this. I was thinking of a good analogy, and it's kind of like in the beginning, I was, hacking my way through the jungle with my machete, just kind of trailblazing, finding my way, and I had like one or two people following me. And now I've got a wagon train, and there's a Conestoga back there with all of our camping supplies, and there's like 8 people behind me, and there's all this stuff. It's gotten a lot more complicated, so me just hacking away at the bush wildly is probably not a good plan. So, when we plan, how do we do it? So first thing they asked, for the way we started this off, was we grabbed a thing of note paper, and he started off by saying, write down 10 things that you need to do to raise a person from an infant to an adult. That's pretty straightforward, and so I wrote it down, things like, house them, feed them, clothe them, provide them with medical care, all of the usual things, right? And he said, okay, put those up on the window, and then we want to organize them into a couple of categories. You can pick the number of categories, but you want to organize them into categories. We had to do it with a partner, and we had to do it without speaking. So they had their 10, I had my 10. We had to do them, and we did them without speaking. Virtually every group, including ours, broke it up into 3 categories, with a few within each. We had a lot of similar crossovers, a lot of the same things. Said, okay, now do that with your job, your role. Write down 10 parts of your job, 10 things that you do in your job. And so, okay. He said, now have your partner do the categorization. And so my partner categorized mine into a couple of categories, 3 actually. And it was 3 categories with 3, and then one had 4 underneath them. And I was like, interesting. And the categories were kind of, when you broke it down into those 3 categories, it was kind of like, yeah, I guess those 3 or those 2, 4 tasks are very similar, or they are related directly. And then it became a kind of thing where it's like, okay, once we'd kind of done that, we nailed down kind of what the roles are, what the elements are, what we do in our jobs, which was kind of interesting. It was then saying, okay, out of those 10, pick 5 of, elements of your job, 5 that are the most important, right? Pick the 5 that are the kind of the primacy ones, right? And for me, it was growth strategies, right? That was one of my first things, my job to grow. And then my next one was, what was it? It was growth strategies, and then it was employee performance and improvement, right? And then I had a bunch under, I had my 5 total. And then we learned about the SMART technique. And the SMART technique, which is how do you take and you create goals that are based off of very specific things. So the SMART is specific, measurable, attainable, results, and time-oriented. So, to give you an example, and I'll just pick one from the sample if I can think of what one of the samples was. The sales team will increase the number of, or the sales revenue from current customers by 17% in the pharmaceutical industry in the course of the next 6 months. That is a specific, measurable, attainable. Attainable is always kind of up to the beholder, but you can set those goals for yourself, right? So specific, measurable, attainable, results-oriented, there is a result, and then there's a time. And when I'd learned that method, I'm like, that is part of my problem. That right there, that one linchpin was actually the crux of my issue when I came to planning. Because I could do the kind of the generic, I'd like us to grow. I'd like us to grow by this much even, right? I could do that. I might even be able to say, I kind of want us to grow by this much in this time frame, right? I could do that maybe. But using that method of specific, measurable, attainable, results-oriented, time and the time elements, that is a very specific formula that allows you to say, okay, we've got to get specific. Now, I had my own specific numbers. Like the top line of my things is I would like us to grow by this specific dollar amount by the end of 2022. Specific, time-oriented, attainable, that's a question right now. Realistically, I think that when we talk about attainability for goals, I think a lot of it depends on time horizon and what you do to get there, right? I do think that our company is capable of hitting the targets that I want to hit. How to get there, though, is the tricky part. So, the good news is, though, now that I've got that specific target in mind, I can say, okay, what are the elements that are needed to hit that SMART target, right? What are the elements that are needed to hit that specific, measurable, attainable, results-oriented, time-based target? For me, one of the elements, and these subcomponents, if you can make them SMART, work well, but if they can't follow the SMART, that's not the end of the world. But for example, one of them was we need to make monthly marketing budgets that specifically have a specific dollar amount allotted to specific channels with specific targets for those channels to hit. And if they do not hit those targets, we need to have a backup or a different place to dump the money so that we stop spending good money after bad. That's one of the four. There's a bunch of other ones, and I can go into greater detail about the specifics of how that's all kind of flayed out. But realistically, the more important element is the process, right? You start with broad, and you start with really broad. And you start with broad in the sense of what are your, and by the way, this process works for any position in the company as well. So for me, I'm talking about company-wide stuff because frankly, my job is company stuff, right? My job in its broadest sense is company goals. My goals are company goals, right? Now, obviously, I can have independent goals of the core of the overarching goals that are personal and whatever, but for the most part, whatever my goals are, that's what the company is because I'm the CEO, right? But if you could do this exact same thing for Meryl, for Anna, for any of my team members, where it's what is the overarching goal of the company? What does your job entail? How does your job, elements lead to the overarching goal of the company? What are the SMART targets involved in that? And what are the elements that we can use to kind of create that measurability, right? Because just, for example, to say we want to make our employees happier, that is not a SMART target. It is too generic. It's not specific enough. What do you mean happy? Do you mean that they're enjoying their jobs? Does that mean that they're content and they're not leaving? Does that, so you have to basically say, and here's a version of we want to make our employees happier that follows the SMART guideline. Using pre and post employee satisfaction surveys, we would like to see our employees go up in their happiness by 15% across the board in the next 6 months. Specific, measurable, attainable. I think 15% is pretty attainable. And it's was the results oriented, that there is a result that you're after. That's the thing, right? Now, if you were going to be really good about SMART, the results in this case would be to reduce employee turnover and lower costs, right? That's kind of the result. That's really like to make our employees happier can be a result unto itself. It can be the goal itself. But if you wanted to be broader about this, or if you're in your job trying to convince your boss of doing this, having the results kind of be the money component, right? Or the related to the money component is important, right? So the result would be of making our employees happier is reduced turnover, better employee productivity, all those other elements. And then there's a time element to it over the next 6 months, right? So you could do this with any position in the company. And for me, it's basically company-wide. So now that what I'm going to be doing over the course of the next couple of days is developing the overarching company plan. Once I have the overall goals and I have what needs to go into them, I'm going to then work on saying, okay, what are the 30, 60, 90, 180, 360 day plans to accomplish those goals, to hit those targets? And I'm going to work my way backwards saying, okay, if we want to do this much money by the end of the year, we need to be doing at least this much money by this date, expecting to do this much money in the second half of this date. And we need to be doing this much specifically. If we need to hit this target by this date, then we need to hit this target by this date, right? And start to work my way back to create a tangible plan that we can, use. And I'm going to do this with my admin team. I'm going to do this with the whole team. And what we're going to then do is they actually gave us forms of these like performance documents. And it's basically saying, now that you've done this KRA process, now that you've done these smart targets and goal setting and kind of attainable targets for your team, and you've written them out as specific performance targets, you need to evaluate that every month, right? You need to evaluate that to see if you're on track, to see if you're on the plan, right? To see if you're matching the plan or if the plan needs to be adapted, right? And you want to do this monthly. You want to have it be a formal process. You want it to be specific, right? You don't want them to be surprised. And one thing that he said that I was like, that is brilliant, is the meeting is about them presenting to you what they've done and how they've succeeded or not in their processing and in their planning, right? In their execution of the plan. It is not you saying, I'm reviewing your performance. It's them presenting to you what they've done. And I think that minor difference in semantics functionally makes a huge difference in the attitude around the meeting, right? Because if it's well, I have to show my boss what I've accomplished. I have to present to my boss what I've accomplished based off the targets that we together set, right? Because they're involved in this initial planning process. It creates a less of a, my boss is going to kill me because I failed. It's going to be I'm failing to meet my targets. Why am I failing to meet my targets? So, all in all, I'm very excited about this planning process. We're going to be doing a lot of this soon. We're going to be pushing hard into this area of change for the company. And I think it will help me solve the major issues that we've been experiencing internally, which as I had a meeting with my admin team, I realized during this, it was a 2-hour meeting. It was a long psychological, how are we doing, what's going on meeting. And we realized it's because we're living Groundhog's Day. We're not, but it feels that way. It feels like every day is just the same day over and over, and it's not a good day. So we've got to change that. We've got to make changes to the company. We've got to make changes, and that can only be done through effective planning and then execution of that plan. And I think we can pull it off. I really do. And I'm hoping that we can get the details sorted out and specified so that we're in good shape. And I'm excited. I really am. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in today. Be sure to check back in next Tuesday for our next topic. And don't forget to check that subscribe button as well as notification bell to get notified of our latest podcast right away. If you have any questions or concerns about your leather binder, journal, folio, accessory, anything else we sell, please feel free to contact us on the main page of our website at Murdy Creative Co. Or you can contact us via Instagram and Facebook. You can text, email, call, direct message, all the usuals. I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible, but I do appreciate your patience. If you have a quick question or you want to place an order over the phone, please feel free to call us at 414-434-9001. We are available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Central Time. You can also text us at that number as well, 414-434-9001. If you don't get a hold of us during that time, please feel free to leave us a voicemail. If you are calling about a specific order and you leave us a voicemail, please include the order number. It starts with S and then follows with a bunch of numbers. That'll help us triangulate what specifically we're talking about and figure out how to troubleshoot orders quickly. If you think we deserve it, a good review can go a long way to help us grow our new community. Both a review on the podcast on whatever app you're listening on, but also a review on the product itself. You can go to murdycreative.co/reviews to read all of our amazing 5-star reviews. There's a button there that says, do you recommend the Murdy Creative Company? You click yes. Or it says, there it says leave a second review. You click on that. That'll take you to facebook.com/murdycreative.co/reviews. There's the question, do you recommend the Murdy Creative Company? You click yes, and then you can write your amazing review. I read them. I love them. I actually read them out loud to the staff most of the time. It's really quite appreciated. Thank you for those who do that. If for whatever reason you'd leave us a bad review, there's another button there that says get directly in contact with us. It is deeply important to me personally that everyone has a good experience with a company. I will do anything we can. I will do anything I can. We will do everything we can to make things right, including refunding, recrafting, we will take care of it. Please, please, please give us an opportunity to do so before you leave us a bad review. Word of mouth is the best form of advertising, so please tell your friends about the company. If you want to get a little something for doing that, in the bottom left-hand corner of the website, there is the rewards button. If you are logged in, any purchase you make gets you 10% back as in-store credit. And when you click on that button, there's a shareable link there. If you share that link with your family and friends, they get $10 back on their first purchase, and you get $10 of in-store credit when they make that purchase. So it's a great way to share the company. It helps us, it helps them. If you have any podcast topics you want to hear more about, send them my way. I'm always happy to talk about just about anything, and I'm always looking for topic ideas. So leave a comment below on the YouTube channel, or send us an email, sales@murdycreative.co. If you're looking for multiple binders for gifts, giveaways, menus, really any reason, and really any of our products, we do have bulk discounts available. They are built directly into the cart, so you can mix and match to your heart's desire of any and all of our products. Once you add them to your cart, the total cart quantity is calculated, and the automatic discount will be applied based off that quantity, and you can go ahead and purchase directly there. If for whatever reason you're not exactly sure on what the quantity you're looking for, and instead you have different different price points in mind, and you're saying, well, how much can I order to get to that target price point? Feel free to reach out to us directly, sales@murdycreative.co, and we're happy to talk through what those discounts look like. If you're looking for a custom engraved item, we have no minimum order quantities and no setup fees. It's a simple flat fee of $15 normally, and you can personalize and customize the product on the website itself directly using the customize button available on the product pages. The composition cut and the executive cut still aren't available in the customizer yet. You can send us an email if you're interested in getting those items customized, and we can create a custom mockup and order link for you. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Have a great day, and goodbye.